if you're a producer and you know how to treat your sounds, then you're good. So I don't claim to be a singer, I don't claim to have the best voice, but what I do know what I'm doing in terms of in the box and post-production makes up for it. So yeah, you can laugh. I laugh at myself too. Assalamu alaikum, it's Harun Abdul-Haqq. Welcome to my channel. Shout out to Hanzib Imani for the foam. And in this video, I'm gonna be mixing one of my songs, one of my forthcoming releases, and I thought it would just be a good idea for me to give you an insight into my mixing process. And yeah, for those that are using Logic Pro or those that are looking to start maybe recording themselves and mixing themselves, just show you that it can be done and how it can be done. Because a lot of the time we can spend a lot of money on engineering, or we can spend money on engineering and it won't be the quality that we want it to be. And especially the fact that our vocals only scene is so young, there may not be so many engineers and producers that actually understand our sound and what we're trying to achieve. So I also thought it would be good to give an insight into that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we have the nasheed here. I'll give you a little glimpse of it. I'm just passing through. Don't worry about me, I'm just passing through. I'm just passing through. Nigga, don't mind me, I'm just passing through. So as you can hear, it's not mixed, so I'm going to go through each individual track, clean it up. I've already started to clean it up in terms of the arrangement, but there are little things that need to be cleared up. Because what I do when I record, I just record it in raw and then I tweak it up, because we can do a lot in the post-production side of things. So yeah, so what I'm doing now is I'm going through each track and making sure it sounds proper. So this one here, this is the first track that I started with and I just built on top of this. So what I would tend to do, first of all, I use a template. So a lot of these plugins are on there by default, so I'm just going to take it off. And then what I would usually do is load up the EQ and I would just clean up the frequency. So when you've got a track, if you've got a vocal track, you're not going to have a lot of low end. So any low end that's there is just mud. It's just stuff that you need to clean out. So I tend to just low shelf that off to about 123 hertz. Sometimes I sharpen up the curve as well a little bit, and then I might dip this part a little bit, but not too much because I don't want to take away from the body of the song. So as I've mentioned in my other tutorials, mixing is about giving space to each individual track so that none of them are clashing. So after we've cleaned each individual one, we're gonna give them their individual space. So it's like cooking, like I would say before. You know, before you cook, in my culture, we clean the meat. Yeah, we clean the meat. Then after we clean the meat, we clean off every other component to the meal. So we wash the vegetables, we wash each of them individually, yeah, and then we season them, yeah, and then we put them together, right? Usually the meat gets seasoned, do you know what I mean? It depends. If you're doing a stew, let's just say we're doing a stew, you might just put the veg in unseasoned, but you would clean it. So when I'm referring to seasoning in this case, I would say we're cleaning it in terms of using the equalizer to clean the frequencies, but the seasoning would be the effects, i.e. the reverb, echo, etc., which doesn't need to be added to every single track or element in the song, if that makes sense. So I'll take that out of it. And then what I usually do is dip around this frequency, because that's where the vocals are usually gonna reside. And then what I might do is add some reverb. But before I add the reverb, I'm going to turn this into a stereo track using channel mode. So stereo, you have to have it on stereo mode in order to load a stereo plugin as well. So I'm going to select one that makes sense. I like this. Might just take some of the reverb off and make it a little bit shorter. Okay, so that's alright. Now I'm going to bring in the next element. Now because I'm cleaning each one up, I don't need them both on at the same time. Now before I add any effects and stuff like that on there, I usually make sure using flex pitch that each of the notes are in the right pitch. As you can see, I've already done that. I use a little shortcut. If you click Control and right click, you can set all to perfect pitch. Now when you set all to perfect pitch, it doesn't always set each note to the perfect pitch. Sometimes you have to move them around yourself, and sometimes if you have a take, you just select the best bits and put them together, which is what I've done here. Alright, so I'm going to take off this. Once again, get my EQ, put my analyzer on so I know what I'm doing. Now roll off a little bit more, so instead of it going up to 1, 2, 3, I'm rolling it off to about 150, and then dip this a bit around 242. Dip that a bit. I can have a little bit of air around here. I mean, there's not much going on. Right, so this is okay, this is how I want it. So now I'm going to add some reverb to this, but before I do that, I'm going to make this into stereo. We're going to add some reverb onto this. Probably do the same one, Space Designer. I've got a few other ones, but I'm just going to keep it basic for those that may just have Logic. And I like the fact that I can just drop the dry down and it just like makes it really subtle. Another thing that I do sometimes is I roll off the frequency of the actual reverb, because I can hear a little bit of mud where that's concerned. And then so you're just going by what you hear, really. I might even dip a little bit here because this is the frequency that the vocals are going to be operating at. So where I'm dipping a little bit here, it's going to give more space to the vocal. And if I want, I can increase the reverb here. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it like that. So now that I've cleaned each of them, the thing that I need to do is balance both of these together, because they're both going to be operating at the same time. So if I play them together, they don't sound bad together. Maybe on the EQ of this one, I can dip out this frequency and widen it up a bit so it covers a bit more ground. So that actually sounds good together. I'm actually happy with that. Now, I'm going to have to gradually do that for every single one of these tracks, which is going to take a little while. Let's just see how it goes. So for the next one, let's just see what I can do with this one. Like I said, I'm going to solo it first and treat it individually first. So this sounds like it might need to be pitched a little bit better. It seems like it is the right pitch. So let's do the same. Take off that add limiter that's on my template. Make this stereo. And get the EQ up. Put the analyzer on. Clean this lower frequency. Turn it down a little bit maybe. Then add the reverb again because I want this to be nice and airy and spacious. I might use this one here. Right, let's bring in these others. So I can already hear that the most recent one is a little bit loud. So that sounds alright. I'd say that sounds right. Okay, so let's load in the next one now. So this sounds like it needs a little bit of pitch work because I'm definitely not a singer, but I don't feel you need to be a singer in order to do this sort of stuff because you can always clean it up, you know. If you're a producer and you know how to treat your sounds, then you're good. So I don't claim to be a singer, I don't claim to have the best voice, but what I do know what I'm doing in terms of in the box and post-production makes up for it. So yeah, you can laugh. I laugh at myself too. Alright, so as I said, you have this function where you can set all to perfect pitch, which I do sometimes. I might just do it anyway because it will probably just set these pitches to a certain level where I like them, but I've got a feeling that it's gonna set them to a place where I might not like them, so I'm ready to adjust them if I need to. Alright, so I'm gonna move that down because I know that doesn't need to be up there from previous experience, and let's hear it. See, that was out because it's like it just moves it to the closest note that it thinks it should be, but you know what note it should be, and sometimes you may even have to play it with the rest of it to hear if it's clashing or not, but just be ready to adjust it if you need to. See, that one's gone out, so I'm gonna select all of that, and you can also bring it back like that, which is a good feature if you want to tighten it up a little bit. So that's out because it needs to be on the same note as the other one. You can see that it's on the same note. This one's going to be out, so I probably don't even need to listen to it. I can just bring that down. This one, where is it? It's above, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to move that over a little bit. What about this one? This one's too high. Let's hear this. I'm gonna just move this in time a little bit. Okay, so I'm happy with that as it is. Now all I gotta do is I'm gonna take off this add limiter, clean it up on the EQ. Let's listen back. Put the analyzer on as I did before. Turn this on. So this frequency here was a little bit too poignant, and you can always tell if you raise it, it just irritates the ear. So if it sticks out a bit too much, I'll just bring it down a bit. It's also good if you are married or you have sisters in the house or even your mum. Women are really good at picking out and sensing frequencies that are out of place, because their natural inclination, their fitra, their natural way, how can I say, their anatomy, should I say, they are naturally better and more inclined to hear frequencies that we can't hear as men. And this partly is to do with their maternal instinct, because they have to be able to hear when their young one is maybe crying or something like that, you know. So they naturally are better at hearing frequencies that are off. So if it doesn't sound good to a woman, then it's probably not going to sound good at all, right? So you can also run it by, you know, like I said, your sister, your wife, your mum, your cousin, somebody that is, you know, present around, or even send it to them, and let them hear it, and they'll be able to tell you, all right, this sounds a little bit out. That's just a little tip. But yeah, I'm gonna roll off this bottom frequency. That I didn't like the sound of that. So what I might do is hear that again. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Bring that up with the vibrato. That's better. Okay. Okay. So as it stands, I'm happy with it. I'm gonna put that to stereo again, and I'm gonna draw from my space designer reverb. Let's go through a couple of them. I want this one to sound quite far away. Now, this is probably where I need to get the EQ involved. So I think that sounds alright. Now let's hear it with the other elements one by one. Let's bring in that last one. Okay. Now we've got two more elements to bring in. No, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 actually. So let's go through these. This one here, I'm going to do this one first. And I think it's just a note that I decided to do to complement the rest. So you can hear that there's a little clip at the start, so I just like to fade that a little bit so it's not too abrupt. Right. So let's see if it's the right pitch. Let's hear that. Okay, so it's a little bit out. And the way that you will know if it's in or not, sometimes you may have to bring in the rest to hear it with the rest and know if it will work. Okay, so let me set that to perfect pitch. Okay, so that sounds alright. I think I'm going to take down the vibrato a little bit as well. That's something that can affect how in tuned it is. So that sounds a lot better now. Yeah, I'm going to do it to the E. Okay, so I'm going to do it for this one. And I'm also going to do it for these. But I don't know if I'm going to do it all the way with these ones. So, as you saw, I needed to just move it into the right pitch and fix the vibrato. Now I've got that sound in the right. So like I said, sometimes there's times that you need to play it with the rest of it, and sometimes you need to do it individually by itself. So while it's with the rest of it, I'm just gonna blend it down so that it's not too loud, and that's what I would have done after. Okay, so now I can take this off because it's quite a low sound. I don't know if I'm gonna put a stereo on it, but I am gonna put some reverb on it, and that's quite an advanced kind of reason why I decided not to make it stereo, because the lower the frequency, the more inclined it will be to be mono. The higher the frequency, the more inclined it will be to be stereo and be spread. There's nothing wrong with you breaking the rules and spreading something that is lower frequency, but you lose power when you spread a lower frequency across the stereo field. And like I said, that is an advanced technique. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that as stereo, but I am gonna add some reverb. I don't want too much reverb on this one because it's a similar kind of reason. This one sounded alright. Right, so there's one thing that I didn't do, if you noticed. I didn't mess with the EQ. So let's do that now. Okay, so that sounds decent. Now you can see that I've done some things a different way round than I did it before, which is okay as long as I'm getting the desired result. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the next element, which I think is my bass. It's one of the bass frequencies. Let's hear it. No, it's not. Okay, so this is that one. Right, so this may need a bit of work. So I'm gonna, as I did before, put my flex pitch on. And automatically I'm gonna set it all to perfect pitch and work around it. But I'm going to play it with it because I think it will knock it out of the right pitch. Yeah, definitely has. Okay, so I'm going to select all of them because I've got a feeling that all of them would have been taken out by a semitone, and move them down. So definitely. Okay. might take off some of the vibrato of these. Not off of all of them, just some of it. That comes in a little bit abrupt. The one thing that is a little bit annoying with flex pitch is if you don't have all of the take in, which I'm going to explain and show you here, sometimes it won't read the first part of it, which is annoying. But it's okay. I'm just going to work with it how it is. But what I am going to do is bring in some more of it. Move it back. And then move these back a little bit. So that I'm still on time. A little bit. So you can see that this one's lagging a little bit, the last one. So there's a little clip. Maybe it's at the end, so I'm gonna take my fade tool and just put a little bit of a soften on the end of that. So you heard that, no more clip. So let's listen back to that. Let's hear it with the rest. It's too loud. Okay, so this one's going to be stereo because it's a higher frequency, and instead of adding a reverb with a plugin on the actual channel strip, I'm going to send it in this time. And let me solo it so I can hear exactly what it's doing. Okay. So it sounds like it needs to turn down a bit. What I might do is send in some echo. Come to think of it, I might just add the reverb on it, just to soften it a little bit more. Not too much though. that sounds okay. Yes. So I'm gonna do something that usually I do a little bit down later on down the line. Is I'm gonna add a stereo spread plugin called sample delay, and what it does is it spreads one, you know, track sample recording and makes it appear like it's been duplicated because it delays one of them, giving an effect like there's two of them. And I like this because it just gives a nice effect as if it's spread across the speakers a little bit, but you got to really be careful how you use this. Yeah, I like it. It's subtle, but because I've used it there, I may have to make it a little bit more subtle, because it makes it quite prominent depending on how you use it, because obviously it's giving the effect that there's two of them. So let's head on to the next one. We got two more left. Okay. Now let's see if this is in the right pitch. I'm gonna set all to perfect pitch. Sounds like a cat. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so this one really and truly should be on this. It should. Maybe if I sort out the vibrato, it won't sound out. Alright, this is what it is. The end of this needs to drift up a little bit. And so does this. There we go. Adjust that a bit. There we go. There we go. Okay, brilliant. Now I'm okay with that. What I'm gonna do is come out of flex pitch mode, and I'm actually gonna get rid of any background sounds that's there. Control X, and bring in a little bit of pre-attack time, and okay. Yeah, okay. Now let's get our EQ. So what I just did was to take out any unnecessary noise that would have been in the background, because nothing else was happening anywhere else where there's sound. So nothing was there. So I thought, let me just get rid of it altogether, you know, because as you can see here, there might just be some sounds there like breathing, you know, you might have touched the mic or touched the mic lead or something like that happens. But yeah, I just thought, let me take it out. which I can do on this one as well if I want, so why not? Let's get some consistency. Okay. Now, I feel like I definitely, first of all, I'm going to take that off, which I forgot to do. I'm going to add some echo. I will go over how you add the bus in, inshallah, at some point. That stereo because it's nice. That's alright. Take the drivers off. Just pushes it back in the background a bit. Okay, now for the final element, which is probably going to bring everything together, which is the kind of, I like to say, the lower frequency, which some people could say bass. But I've already added a sub bass frequency on there just to give it a bit of body. But yeah, it's basically the root note of the song. So let's hear it. So that sounds like it needs to be keyed and tuned a little bit better. So let's do that first. As I said, control, settle to perfect pitch, and let's work with that. I'm going to take all of these off. And just work with this by itself. So I can hear that that's okay. So because this starts up here, it's giving the effect as if this is the right pitch, but it's not. So I'm going to take the vibrato down, make that normal. Take that off as well. Hear that? Maybe bring the vibrato of this down a bit. There we go. That's cool. So these are a little bit out in terms of let's hear it with some metronome on, because that's maybe the issue. Okay. Okay, so now we're more or less in tune. That's fine. I know these are all different, but because it sounds good, I'm going to leave it. And then I'm going to take off the add limiter because I don't need to be on there. Like I said, that's because of my template. Load up the EQ. See what's going on here. So that's okay. Let's hear it together. Mute my vocals, so I'm not even going to bring them in yet. This could be a bit tighter. Okay, so now that I've got this to this point where I'm actually happy with the backing track, how it's sounding, how I've mixed it, now I can focus on the vocals, and that's a whole different ball game. So what I can do first of all is, now that I've got it to this point, cut this. Now I did do some beatbox. This is before I kind of stopped using beatbox, so I'm just going to move these out of the way because I probably will not be using them. So I won't need it, just to clean it up a bit. And I will be, inshallah. Oh, hold on. Okay. So I can get rid of that. Get rid of that. And get rid of these as well. Cut this because I looped it. And then get rid of this and literally copy this and move it across, because this will be the new one that I just amended. So I actually want to get rid of all of these. Get rid of all of them. Don't need them. Don't want them. And then obviously, you know, as I have all of this, I will, you know, leave some in at some parts, take some out at some parts to create, you know, some variation and an actual song structure. But yeah, This is the basis of my track. So yeah, inshallah I'm going to do part 2 where I'm going to mix the vocals. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was beneficial. If you want to know more and you actually have more questions, you might be using FL Studio. Actually use FL Studio 2 as well. I mean, not FL Studio 2, FL Studio as well. And you want some lessons, some one-to-one lessons, you can hit me up. Go to www.vocalsonly.com. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you comment. Just let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. Let me know what you actually thought about this tutorial. Because like I said, this is one of the first I've done. If not the first I've done that I'm going to upload to YouTube, inshallah. It actually goes into the full process of how I've mixed down my backing track that I'm going to use. So, hope that was beneficial. Till the next episode. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.